My name is Jacob Van. I go to Sunnyside High School, and the title of my documentary is called The Land We Left Behind. My documentary is based around the secret war in Vietnam, and what inspired me was really my grandpa, who was a veteran at the time and fled Laos when the Americans pulled out of Vietnam. I picked this as my topic because I don't think a lot of people know about the secret war, so I wanted to educate them about that. It's called the secret war for a reason. It's important to me because a lot of people in my community, they went through a lot to get here, and I don't think enough people know the struggle that we had to go through in order to make it home for ourselves here in America. I hope people realize that there was a lot of wrongdoings done in the Vietnam War, and that even to this day, that justice hasn't been done to our community.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Tonight I want to talk to you on a subject of deep concern to all Americans and to many people in all parts of the world, the war in Vietnam.
This was U.S. President Richard Nixon's address to the nation on the war in Vietnam. This broadcast went on public television and radio in 1969, and by now, the war had been going on for 14 years. He actually gave the speech 2 days after the 14th anniversary. The conflict so far was 14 years of a proxy civil war between the Vietnamese Communist North and the capitalist South. The United States, determined to halt the spread of communism, sent troops and supplies into South Vietnam to repel the invading North. Meanwhile, the communist powers of China and the USSR backed up the North in return. The neighboring country of Laos was vital to the North, as the Ho Chi Minh Trail started in the north, bled into Laos, and out into South Vietnam. As such, Laotian cooperation was necessary for the communists. Luckily for them, in 1959, a communist group called the Pathet Lao revolted against the Royal Lao government. In an attempt to quell a communist uprising and disrupt North Vietnamese supply lines, the US started the secret war in Laos, utilizing Hmong combatants and the Lao Royal Army. What followed was a series of empty promises and thousands left behind by the United States.
In Laos, I was joined a junior in 1963. I worked for air traffic control for 5 years. My job was to mark coordinate for aircraft until communist took over in 1975.
Over 500,000 bombing missions were conducted in Laotian territory. Over 60,000 Laotian citizens were killed in these raids. Such intense fighting and conflict prompted many innocents to flee the country.
Somehow I came back from school at 5 o'clock in the evening. My father said, "Let's go with me. They got everything in the car waiting for you in there. Let's go." And I don't know what's going on. So I just follow my father, walk to the car, and mom just come give me a hug and, "Bye, I'll talk to you later. Good luck. Have a safe trip," something like that. Traveling, and I don't know where I'm going. So what I do, just follow my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm scared. What happened?" And I heard shotgun way over there. Somehow it get closer to us. So we just duck down. Somehow we already to the water right now.
The United States made a promise to their Laotian allies to help them protect their homes and find refuge in America. And for some time, this seemed true. American, Laotian, and Hmong forces worked together to fight back against the imposing communists. However, due to domestic problems in the United States, things quickly got complicated.
Thousands of demonstrators opposed to the Vietnam War assembled in the nation's capital for a mass protest. For the most part orderly, minor scuffles did occur between the demonstrators and hecklers.
Anti-war sentiment began to spread in the United States by 1964. Thousands called for American soldiers to return home and the end of American inclusion in the Vietnamese conflict. Rumors of American atrocities began to spread among the citizens back home, which spurred anti-war protests even further.
This is what the war in Vietnam is all about. The old and the very young. The Marines have burned this old couple's cottage because fire was coming from here. And now when you walk into the village, you see no young people at all. Fire was coming from...
Media coverage from overseas gave the American people insight into what the war was really like.
There's several hundred North Vietnamese soldiers who could wipe out this little American unit to the last man in an unguarded moment. Today, though, it's quiet. A few bunkers uncovered, then a quick lunch, and back down the trail to the pickup zone. Just a peaceful walk in the sun.
So, when Richard Nixon won the presidency in early 1969, he promised to put an end to the Vietnam War. When he gave his speech on November 3rd, he said that he had initiated a plan which will end this war in a way that will bring us closer to that great goal to which Woodrow Wilson and every American president in our history has been dedicated, the goal of a just and lasting peace. To the American people, he made good on his promise just 4 years later. In 1973, March 29th, President Nixon would give another speech on the Vietnam War.
For the first time in 12 years, no American military forces are in Vietnam. All of our American POWs are on their way home.
For the rest of the Southeast Asian world, this meant they no longer had American protection. The North Vietnamese took Saigon first, followed by the aforementioned Pathet Lao taking over Vientiane, the Laotian capital. Another communist party, the Khmer Rouge, overtook the Cambodian capital of Phnom Penh. The entirety of the Southeast Asian world was under communist control. Those not lucky enough to flee were trapped in internment camps run by the communists. Those who did escape were stuck in refugee camps that, regrettably, weren't as safe as they sound.
And then I can hear the yelling, screaming, the poor lady cry for help, and nobody can help her. They take her down to the Mekong River, which is close by, and I heard the shotgun. I think they shoot her and kick her down the river.
In total, over 3 million people left their homes behind. It was either too dangerous or there was nothing to go back to at all. Millions of leftover bombs from the United States bombing campaign still hide in the Laotian undergrowth, claiming lives to this day. Despite that, we're still here. Communities, friends, family, soldiers, performers, workers, brothers and sisters. A people. We have a place to lie down and close our eyes, a place to move on from what happened. But even if we do, it won't change that we're in a home away from home, wishing we could go back to the land we left behind.